another warm welcome to Iowa State University's Ignite Innovation Showcase, and specifically to the session called Igniting a Passion for Human Health at Iowa State. I'm Andy Zier, the Director of Recruiting in the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, and you might have wondered why this panel was under a College of Agriculture. In fact, often people don't notice the "and Life Sciences" on the name of the college. We're actually a really diverse college with 25 majors, many of which are well suited for studying health. For example, biology, microbiology, genetics, nutritional science, dietetics, and biochemistry are all housed within the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. With me is an incredible panel of some of our most successful and favorite alumni, to be completely honest. It was great to talk to them before we got on video. And they all had combined academic preparation and incredible out-of-class opportunities. And they combine these in a really unique and innovative way to sort of reach their ultimate goals as they related to health. So you'll find that these students have some things in common, such as an interest in study of genetics, or maybe they're in a similar club together, but they each created their own unique career path by actually participating in innovative experiences. And those experiences could be cutting edge research or one-of-a-kind international internships, but it looks different for different students. This is your chance to hear from students, or former students, I should say, in some cases still current students, hear their stories and think about how you'll pursue your passion in human health at Iowa State. So with that, I'd like to ask the panelists to introduce themselves, including their name, the major that they studied while at Iowa State, and where they currently are. And if I could start with Morgan, that would be great.
Hi, I'm Morgan Swanson. I had majors in global resource systems and genetics at Iowa State, and I'm currently an MD PhD student getting a PhD in epidemiology at the University of Iowa.
And Jill, next.
Yeah, hi, I'm Jill, and I graduated in 2010 with a undergraduate degree in genetics at the College of Ag, and then continued on to my PhD also at Iowa State. And currently I work for the Manton Center for Orphan Disease Research at Boston Children's Hospital, which is a Harvard Med School affiliate. And in my current role, I am a project manager and genetic counselor for this research center. I work closely with patients and families to get enrolled into the study and manage the recruitment and some of the research, as well as working with other collaborators, providers, physicians, all across the US and even the world to try and learn more about rare and undiagnosed conditions in humans, mostly of the time in children, but also at any age. And so we enroll these families to try and understand what the underlying causes of their condition. And as a project manager in this, I really get to see every step of the way. And, we do a lot of work with the families, with the research, but also the budget and other areas too. So I really have my hands in a lot of things and get to enjoy meeting lots of different people and families around the world.
Jill, Monica is next up, please.
Hi, I'm Monica Brown. I studied genetics and microbiology while I was at Iowa State. And I currently am a lab manager as well as help build, and now am the organoid core manager at the University of Colorado Anschutz Medical Campus.
Awesome. And last but not least, Alyssa, would you please introduce yourself?
Hi, I graduated in 2016. My name is Alyssa Campbell, and I was a microbiology and genetics double major. And I'm currently an MD PhD student at Harvard Medical School in Boston, so very close to Jill.
Well, thanks everyone for the quick introduction. I've just got a series of really short questions, and if it's okay, I'll start with Morgan. Morgan, your career path was decidedly global in nature, and you always had a global focus for at least as long as I remember working with you. How have your international experiences sort of led to your current studies and interests?
In undergraduate, I was able to go abroad for the first time. I'd never traveled outside the United States before coming to Iowa State University. And in those experiences, I had a chance to go to Uganda with a program that's housed within Global Resource Systems and really experience another healthcare system and the role of community health and nutrition in a rural community. And that was one of my first very health focused exposures and really helped to define that I was interested in health and rural health. In my current position or training, I study health systems and how we can improve rural health systems, health access, and health quality for rural citizens. My dissertation has a little bit more of a US focus, but I've had the chance to work a little bit in Eastern Europe as well. And I think that the experiences at Iowa State helped me to find my interest in human health and also to understand that I could combine a passion for rural communities and health into one.
And Morgan, if you don't mind, I'll put you on the spot, but for those that aren't aware, can you describe how that global resource systems major worked with genetics?
Oh, yes. So I started out in global resource systems and I had a lot of biology classes. And one thing that the global resource systems major does, and I think still does, is encourages you to have a technical area within the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. And so genetics was going to be my technical area. And then I was so close to having the course requirements that it was very easy to add on as a double major. And I had some classes with Alyssa in that too. So she knows the experience of the genetics major as well, and so that is a little bit of how those combined.
Awesome. Yeah, I think students often are choosing a major and they feel like the selection of one major means that they're limiting themselves outside of that, and it means that they're choosing not to pick a major. And I think a lot of the folks on this call actually study multiple different areas. So a good reminder for students, again, about how you innovate about your career path and think about things. I might move on if it's okay to Monica. Monica, I kind of remember you being pretty heavily involved in innovative undergraduate research at Iowa State. Can you describe how your experience in the honors program connected you to that research and maybe describe the project that you worked on?
Yeah, definitely. So the honors program is actually probably one of the main reasons I actually got into undergraduate research at Iowa State. I think a professor ended up taking a chance on me my first semester freshman year, and I kind of lucked out and started my first 2 years of research where I studied scallops and how they relate to Alzheimer, turning on essentially like a switch that can affect Alzheimer patients is the hope. So that was my first like really cool project. And with that, I kind of got to move into some other interesting research based originally around an internship I got. And I think some of that also with the honors program, it always looks really great when you're involved with a lot of different things on campus. And so I had an internship actually where I currently work at the University of Colorado, and I got to study chemotherapies in cancer. And I actually helped to develop a new chemotherapy combination. And that was what I ended up presenting on for my honors thesis, as well as at the undergraduate symposium, like the research presentation. And that's what my main focus was on in the end.
Yeah, very good. They talk a little bit about the undergraduate research within this overall event that we're doing this video for. So hopefully the students will have had an opportunity to check that out because it's an incredible opportunity. I'm going to move on to Jill, who's a good combination, I guess, of some of the things that we learned about too. So Jill had some international experience, but also did some research on the effects of chemotherapy drugs. But I remember hearing about the importance specifically about the connection to your mentor. You know, I think we were, Monica talked about somebody taking a chance on her, and I think that's a common theme that we have. But can you describe your relationship with Eileen Keating and how that kind of led to your graduate studies at Iowa State, and then, you know, how that helped to get you where you are today?
Definitely. Aileen is a major factor in kind of where I am today. And it's, I was doing an undergrad research project, finishing it up after I graduated and really wasn't quite sure what my next step would be. And Dr. Keating happened to just be joining at Iowa State, and I met with her and we just really connected, and I was like ready to sign up to do a master's with her. And I was really intrigued by her research projects. So that was kind of our initial connection. And then I ended up transitioning into a PhD that I enjoyed it so much, but she really kind of built those early foundation for me, and just like the curiosity within research and learning those skills in research and writing that have really translated and helped me at every step of the way. And she continues to be a major mentor for me, a mentor and friend. So we maintain those connections, and yeah, she would really kind of planted that seed of research and the curiosity and just the passion and excitement, I guess, too, for just being on like the forefront of science and getting to kind of learn and push the limits there and see. So even though we were, in Kildy in the animal science department, I was working on rats, but really in the focus of human health, and all those skills were really kind of translatable to where I am now. And I really thank her for taking a chance on me, as Monica said too, and continuing to play a pivotal role in my career now.
So one really quick thing I wanted to distinguish. So she wasn't your academic advisor that was giving you questions on the courses that you would be taking in the academic program you had, right?
Correct. Yep. So she was my major professor for my PhD. So I was with her for the 4 years that I did that work, and so met with her closely. But she does advise students too, so a lot of the undergrads will be able to interact with her in that capacity as well. But yep, we were kind of hand in hand in my research project throughout my PhD. Yep.
Awesome. I think that's one of the things that a lot of students kind of take for granted, the idea that you could potentially be an advisee of a faculty member that gives you advice on courses. You could be a mentee within a lab, and you're working with that faculty member to accomplish a research task. And at the end of the day, you might be solving very specific problems, coming up with a course schedule or getting something accomplished in a lab. But people sort of forget about the extra stuff that somebody can do. Like, I mean, writing letters of reference for medical school or whatever. So what are the nature of those conversations? Like, what's it like working with her? Is she approachable, or is she formal, or what was her work style?
Oh yeah, she is very approachable. Her door was always open, and even if it was a quick text of a question or anything, she was always definitely available. Even now, very available and approachable to get some of those questions, whether it's on research or whether it was about kind of the next career step, or even like your personal life, anything like that. She was a great mentor, and a really nice kind of women mentor as well. Kind of getting to watch her kind of juggle the family life and her research and excelling in both. So all around a great mentor, personally and professionally. Yep. And yeah, definitely approachable. So, and it does take, there were undergrad researchers in our group that I worked closely with too. And it's another opportunity to get at Iowa State for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, those people are so important. And I think hopefully the viewers of this video sort of understand that. And they also see that there's some connections even between some of our panelists that experience things together, which I think is really, really cool. Wanting to give a little bit of time to Alyssa. Alyssa, I kind of remember you talking a little bit about academics and also participating in research on infectious diseases and things like that. But one of the things that kind of stood out to me also was combining that academic and research with the leadership experiences that you had, particularly with student clubs like Pre-Med Club. Can you talk a little bit about how the extracurriculars sort of impacted your career pursuit?
Sure. I definitely feel like the different extracurriculars that I did, especially the leadership positions and my time as the president of the Pre-Med Club, were very enriching to my time at Iowa State. I think especially my time as the president of the Pre-Med Club, I felt like I had both the opportunity and, more importantly, the responsibility of really exploring what those next steps need to be to follow a career in medicine, which obviously I was exploring those for myself, but I felt this kind of larger duty to the students in the club who were looking to me for mentorship and guidance. And it kind of gave me that extra push to go the extra mile or make the extra connection and you know, regardless of if you're feeling confident about it, I knew I had to do that for them. And it really kind of pushed me to the next level of my own comfort zone and my own knowledge of the whole field. I got to really meet a lot of very important figures in the field. For example, I would organize events such as admissions coordinator visits. And so I got to develop relationships with like the admissions coordinator at Iowa, for example, and meet people who were already in the next step or were helping organize the next step. It also, in a way, really helped me diversify my knowledge of the medical field. I had so many students in the club who had various goals within all kinds of areas of human health. And it forced me to really like look at the field from a different perspective. And it also helped me solidify my own interests. And additionally, just the responsibility of organizing events and organizing a team and helping people find resources, no matter what sort of club or leadership experience you have, was definitely an opportunity for personal growth for me at Iowa State. So I would strongly encourage you to find communities and explore places that can give you opportunities for personal growth and connections with other students who have similar interests. And there are plenty of those at Iowa State. There's so many groups that you can connect with and explore all of the different things that you can do in this field.
That's great advice. Again, each student kind of sets their own course, chooses from a big old list of 900 clubs, and there's plenty of majors to choose from. But again, where the innovation happens is how everybody kind of stitches it together and forges their own path. So I think I'm going to ask one more question of the full group, and we'll kind of go in order of it. But again, I consider all of you innovators in the way that you approached school, in the ways that you've approached your career. It wasn't always linear paths where you always knew exactly what you wanted to do, but in your own way, you're able to sort of put together some really cool opportunities in an innovative way to sort of pursue what you wanted to do. So since you're all successful alums, I'd like to get your advice. What advice would you give to an incoming freshman or future student, knowing what you know now, based on your experience at Iowa State and where you're at now? So your award-winning advice for new students. So starting with Morgan, if it's okay if I put you on the spot.
Yeah, I think during your time at Iowa State, you're going to have so many opportunities. And at the time, kind of like Andy was saying, it's not going to connect potentially in this linear path to exactly where you're going to be 5, 10, 15 years down the road. But go ahead and say yes to them and enjoy them. Reflect on them. Remember what like kind of like makes you get up in the morning and just be really happy about what you're doing, what you care about. And then later you can go back to those reflections and figure out, this is what's important to me and this is where in the world I want to make an impact. I certainly didn't know exactly that what I'm doing now even existed when I started at Iowa State, and I was really glad for the opportunities at Iowa State that helped me connect the dots to get here.
Awesome. Monica?
I would say looking at the opportunities that you don't think you'll initially like would be really important. Some of those ended up being like the best opportunities I ever took, and actually ended up in a field that didn't really exist much when I started at Iowa State. So there wasn't like a class to take on it. And so I've just kind of accidentally ended up in it, and I absolutely adore it. So I would say going for opportunities that might scare you initially, or might be like, well, this like the small piece sounds really interesting. Go for it, because you'll end up somewhere you didn't really expect, and you'll love it.
For sure. Innovation sometimes means taking risks, right? But
Absolutely.
Usually the biggest risks you take pay off the most. Jill, your best advice.
I would just say meet as many people as you can, and you can really learn a lot from your peers and their experiences. And it's really been fun, you know, being out of school and still having those connections that remain. And in the College of Ag and all across all the majors, you'll be surprised how many times after school that you'll still be crossing paths with the same people. Even Alyssa and I out here in Boston, again, we connected out here, and you'll go to different conferences and things. But yeah, just you're able to learn. I similarly didn't have a linear path in my career, and kind of learning from people along the way, I was able to kind of find my own interests, and they brought up areas and ideas that I wouldn't have thought of. And so you just kind of get to take that all together and figure out what works for you. And so I really enjoyed meeting all the people, and they really kind of got me to where I am today too.
Awesome. Great advice. Last again, but not least, Alyssa, your parting advice.
Yes, my parting advice. I have a couple pieces of advice actually, and they're interestingly very similar to what everyone else has said. So I think there's definitely something to be learned from the common themes. As Andy said, like some of us took a very circuitous route. I know I did, to medical school. And I want to emphasize that that's perfectly okay. And it might make you feel like you don't know what you're doing, but that is okay and very normal. What I want to say is, in that space of uncertainty, the thing I always tried to do while I was at Iowa State is every opportunity I had, I gave it 100%. So when you seek out these new opportunities that are interesting and you might like, or you think you maybe will like a little and you just want to try it, give it your all, and then make course corrections once you learn what you enjoy. And I would always say to try to put a high priority on maintaining strong academics, but also a strong support system in family and friends and relationships, because they will really get you through this long journey that is figuring out yourself. And it's okay if you don't know what you want to do. Whatever you're doing, just give it your all. And then kind of similarly, and this is so similar to what other people have said, which I think is really cool. My bigger piece of advice is, if you really want to learn how far you can go and what experiences are out there for you, as hard as it is, don't let fear keep you from going the extra mile. There are so many people at Iowa State and everywhere who want to see you succeed and want to support you and want to give you these opportunities. Get involved in things early. No one expects you to be perfectly qualified for anything. Everyone deals with self-doubt, and that's never going to go away, but try to set it aside. If you're feeling lost about how you should prepare for XYZ, definitely reach out to older students, mentors, administrators. Often the best opportunities are the ones that aren't necessarily handed to you or publicized, but the ones you find by making those extra connections. So we all have like very similar veins to our advice. So yeah, and all of these things were definitely possible for me at Iowa State. And the support was there when I went looking for it.
Awesome. Again, panelists, I want to thank you so much. You guys have incredible insights, incredible advice. And like Alyssa said, if there's overlap in the things that you're telling these future students, that must mean that those are pretty surefire paths to success. So I really, really appreciate it. To the audience that has checked in today, thank you for your time. Thanks for coming in and learning a little bit more about us, and not just the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, but all of the different innovative opportunities and programs and things like that we have on campus. We're excited that you're thinking about us and you're working to join us on campus. And again, just encourage you to continue to explore and know that there's a community on campus and beyond that are there to support you in your efforts. So thanks again to everyone, and enjoy the rest of the conference.